I'm Chimwemwe Mangazi with Business Time. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. Today we're bringing you the program from Mbayani Township in Blantyre. In the program today, we look at performance of the Malawi Stock Exchange and indeed businesses in the private sector in the first quarter of 2024. Also in the program, we examine the impact of access to internet on both supply and demand sides to the economy. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. Stock market analysts are describing performance of the Malawi Stock Exchange in the first quarter of 2024 as a mixed bag, owing to an increase in the return on index and a decrease in traded value. They, however, are confident that the market will pick up in the coming quarters of the year. We have more in this report.
A first quarter market report published by the MSE indicates that the return on index, though positive, is lower than the 29.44% registered during the corresponding period of 2023. The report further shows that the market transacted a total of 53.9 million shares to a consideration of 8.91 billion kwacha in 2,516 trades. Douglas David Nyirenda, a senior operations and compliance officer for the Malawi Stock Exchange, explains.
The first quarter performance has been great in such a way that we have registered a positive return on index. However, if you are to compare on the performance for Q1 2023, you find that this year we have the return on index hasn't been that much. You might recall that towards the end of last year, in around November, there was that devaluation of the currency. So that was so absorbed by the companies that are exposed to foreign debt, which resulted in negative trading statements in terms of estimation of the profit for the year. So as you might recall, one of the factors that drives the share price is performance of individual companies, and as one of the price indicators of things that cause the share price to move, there's a performance of the companies, the industry. So in this case, you see that the devaluation was I think that was outside the companies, beyond the companies' reach, and the companies that were exposed to foreign debt through maybe capital procurement, like the way the companies in the telecommunications operate, we are now had to factor in the 44% devaluation, which resulted in them anticipating losses, like TNM anticipated loss, Airtel, the two falls, they were anticipating a lower profitability or a loss. So those are some of the things that drove the share prices to decrease, and that also has an impact on the performance of companies going forward, because towards the end of the year, people anticipate that once that has been absorbed, then companies are supposed to reissue maybe revised trading statements based on now as we are approaching the actual year end. But that didn't happen to most of the companies, so that was one of the major drivers to a lower return on investment in Q1 2024 compared to 2023. In terms of the actual value in Malawi kwacha terms, there was an increase, okay? But we realized a lesser number of shares being traded, which is quite sometimes normal. You find that as we are approaching the year end, as I was saying, some of the companies, especially in the financial sector, publish positive trading statements. So you see those ones drove prices up for companies that are in that particular sector, because the devaluation, the effect of the devaluation on the companies that are listed on the stock exchange was mixed. That's why we say when you're investing in the stock market, you also manage your risk. You find, how do you manage that risk? You invest companies that are in different sectors. So you know that the way the devaluation affected the telecommunication is not the same way that it affected the banking sector and other sectors like agriculture, because those ones are able now to recoup, and they are quite resilient in terms of their nature of the business. So in terms of number of trades, it also goes with the reaping, of course, the benefits of the automation. You see, in the manual environment, we used to have lesser trades. But now you see a lot of people now have come aware of the opportunities that are available in the stock market, and they're coming in. That's why you see that even the number of trades has been increasing. As for, if you were to compare Q1 and Q2, you find that the number of trades have gone up by around 62%. With now the trading statements that are published towards the end of last year, and we might have also noted that some of the companies were publishing the revised trading statements, we look that people will be able to earn quite a good return in the capital markets, because if you've seen, most of the companies have even started declaring third interim dividends, which hasn't been the case, I think, historically. Most of the times companies will declare first interim and then final dividend, but you see that last year and this year, based on last year's performance, companies have been able to declare dividends twice, or even others going even thrice. So that will have an impact, because one of the drivers are the returns that are coming in. If somebody wants to sell today, you find that you cannot sell at 1 quarter when there's a dividend coming up of 50 number. You have to factor in that into your share price. So we're seeing the share price of some of the companies that have been declaring dividends to be going up, which will, by the end of the day, have an impact on the return on index in a positive way.
Stockbrokers Malawi Limited equity research analyst Kondwani Makwakwa says the upward trajectory of the MSE can be attributed to the market's response to the release of financial statements by select listed companies.
I would say the market has done well in the first quarter for 2024, as evidenced by the rise in the Malawi Share Index. So the Malawi Share Index is a measure that measures the return for the market as a whole. So this has slightly gone up, which is a good thing. So I would say the market has performed very well in the first quarter. The number of trades has gone down. Basically, I would say that on the stock market, we have experienced a number of sales, a lot of people trying to offload their shares. Basically, we can attribute it to the economic hardship. As you know, we are coming from the famous devaluation that happened in 2023. So people have been adjusting, and some resorted to selling their shares. So this created more supply on the stock market as compared to the buys. So that imbalance, would say, contributed to the low volume in the trades. Because if we look in the previous year, 2023, we would see that it was opposite. There was more demand. And with the price going up, people were encouraged to sell their shares. So the Malawi Share Index, the increase can be attributed to increase in some of the share price stocks, the share prices. So the increase in some of the share prices contributed to the increase in the Malawi Share Index. A good example is National Bank share price, I think from around 2,100 to roughly now around 2,400. So that can be an example why the Malawi Share Index slightly increased. That is despite drops in certain counters. The outlook looks, I would say, promising. Well, in the year 2023, that devaluation affected a number of customers, companies in terms of profitability. So those companies that deal with foreign currency or they have got foreign supplies, they were heavily affected. So we're assuming that in the year 2024, we don't have another significant devaluation. We would say that these companies would be on a recovery state. So yeah, I would say that if these companies performs very well, they should be releasing soon good trading statements, which would translate to good half-year results. Of course, we are mindful with other factors in the economy, like the interest rates. So because when the interest rates are going up, some people prefer investing their money in the money market than the stock market.
However, both market analysts and stakeholders are confident of a significant pickup in performance of the market.
In a related development, players in the private sector have said continued short supply of foreign exchange in the first quarter of 2024 impacted their businesses such that they could not grow exponentially. Sarah Girora has the whole story in this report.
Top on the list of challenges faced by the sector are shocks the local economy has experienced, such as shortage of foreign exchange, rising inflation vis-a-vis a deteriorating buying power, and rising cost of borrowing. Malawi Confederation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, MCCCI, Chief Executive Officer Daisy Kambalame, says it became really hard to operate in such an environment.
It's really been difficult, and I've talked extensively about the shocks that we've experienced, the shortage of forex. So it becomes really hard to operate in that environment. But there are also some other positives. We've seen that there's stability in power supply, so that has actually given some relief. But the floods also came with some disturbances. So it is a bit of a mixed bag, because just when they're fixing certain roads, you then have floods that actually destroy others. So already you can see, if you're operating in that environment, it continues to provide challenges. So, and as a result, because of the drought, for example, most people's disposable income has actually shrunk.
Vizienge Kumwenda is Managing Director of Nico Group.
What I can say is that we've started well. We are a listed company, so there's a limit to what I can say, but we've started well. And in line with our plans, and we hope that the rate at which we've started will continue for the rest of the year, especially the first half, when we'll be publishing our results. Soon we'll be having annual general meetings for both NBS Bank, Icon Properties, and Nico Holdings, and at that point, I'll be able to share a bit more on how we are doing. But suffice to say that we have started very well.
And Dorothy Chapeyama, Chief Executive Officer of Reunion Insurance, weighs in her views.
Business generally, it's hard, but we are moving as a Reunion. We are getting there. We are getting support from our customers. We are getting support from our stakeholders. So yes, generally, it's hard. But as a Reunion, we are moving. The economy, the way it is, our business depends on the customers that we have. And our customers, they need income for them to buy insurance. So with the recent devaluation of the kwacha, the inflation, our customers are finding it hard to find disposable income. And when they do their budget, they need to eat. They have to meet their domestic needs, and then there's insurance. In most cases, insurance comes at the bottom of the budget. To me, that is hard, because we are not first priority to many. I know that we need probably to create more awareness so that people should really understand the benefit of insurance. Without understanding, we'll always be at the bottom. But if they understand the importance of insurance, because we provide funds whenever there's a mishap. And during that time, in most cases, customers don't have money to buy or to pay for whatever expenses. But if they have insurance, there'll be ready money for them.
A recent financial and economic review published by the Reserve Bank of Malawi indicates that the manufacturing sector is poised to grow by 4.4% in 2024.
Internet connectivity has been described as crucial to enhancing economic development in the country. This follows revelations that internet charges in Malawi are the cheapest in Africa despite low penetration of the same. Taunga Sabola has more in this report.
Malawi is said to have the lowest cost of internet data in Africa. However, despite having cheap internet in Africa, internet is not widely available to many Malawians. This is due to a number of factors, including access to smartphones, which are needed to access the internet. Daud Sulemani is MACRA Director General.
Malawi, as a landlocked country, as well as one of the least developing countries, requires digitalization. Digitalization is one of the It is the only enabler that will allow us as a nation to achieve 70% of the sustainable development goals by the year 2030. Where we are at a situation where not a lot of Malawians are connecting to the internet. We are sitting at about 34.6% of Malawians that are connecting to the internet. Now, in a population of 20 million people, you see that we have over 73% of Malawians that have the potential to connect to the internet. Connecting to the internet unlocks a whole lot of new potentials and opportunities. The world has become digital. Things have moved to a different level. The world has become one small marketplace. Therefore, if we allow the other 70% of Malawians to connect to the internet, we unlock a new economy. We unlock new ways of doing things. And most importantly, we give an edge to our economy. We are an agro-based economy, and you've seen the effects of climate change, Cyclone Freddy, and the way El Nino is affecting us. Without digitalization, as a country, we cannot be in a position to prepare ourselves for such eventualities. But with digitalization and with the use of data, we would be in a position to forewarn ourselves that in the next 12 months, we are not going to have a good maize harvest. Maybe we should plant cassava, because we have the data, and in so doing, we can result in food security, food sufficiency, but most importantly, a better life for our people.
Suleiman agrees that despite having low-cost internet in Africa, many Malawians cannot have access to it. He says authorities are putting in place measures to bring down the cost of internet even further.
Over the past 3 years, a number of initiatives that Malawi has undertaken has led us to, as we benchmark with other countries, to have the most affordable data. Now, that is on an international perspective. We are still below the $2 per megabit price tag, which is very good. But internally, as we look amongst our people, you see that a lot of people are still finding that to be expensive on the local scene. This is coming in about because there are a number of issues that we need to deal with. First of all, being a landlocked country means that we have to get our capacity to the ocean cables via other countries. And there are third parties that are applying their trade between us and the landing cables. We have engaged the diplomatic data corridors, which is a state-to-state arrangement between Malawi and Tanzania, Malawi, Mozambique, Malawi and Zambia, so that we can facilitate for cheaper transit of data as it passes through those countries. Further to that, you've seen that we have licensed Starlink. Starlink is offering a very competitive internet packages. Of course, the initial investment is a bit high, but when you look at the long-run investment, you see that Starlink is also providing a good option for us as Malawians to connect to the internet. Not only is it giving us a better option, but it is also providing good competition on the market, because competition is very good. Competition gives us as consumers options. Without options, then we become subjects to monopolistic tendencies by market players. But when we open up the space, allowing Starlink to come in, allowing OneWeb to come in, and allowing other internet service providers to come in, that will help us to push the price further down. In so doing, we are going to have a lot more Malawians connecting. As I've mentioned, we have over 70% of Malawians that are connected, but they're not connected to the internet.
Currently, a workshop on cost models for data services and international connectivity cost is underway in Lilongwe to map the way forward on bringing the cost of data even further. Minister of Information and Digitalization Moses Kunkuyu opened the meeting.
High cost of internet connectivity has been a barrier. So the International Telecommunications at its meeting at the WRC in Dubai, they agreed that the subgroups will take up the roles of discussing various topics. And one topic that we are hosting this workshop to discuss is that of cost models across the globe. Malawi is ranked as the lowest market of data in Africa. We are the most affordable country when it comes to data, when it comes to internet connectivity.
International Telecommunications Union Standardization Bureau Program Coordinator Vijay Mori says the internet is a strong tool for development.
In the ITU, we have set up a focus group on cost models for affordable data services to basically study the cost of providing data and internet connectivity in countries to assess, for example, how because there's the cost of data varies across the world. It costs, for example, the cost of 1 gigabyte of data would vary enormously across the world. So what are the reasons behind this variation of prices? We need to understand this. How come it costs more in some countries, and especially, for example, landlocked countries or small island states, small island developing states, especially you will see the cost of mobile data is higher than other places. So the objective of this focus group is to analyze basically how different countries are providing, how much does it cost in different countries to provide mobile data and internet connectivity, and study these variations to come up with best practices that can be adopted in landlocked countries and also small island developing states, so that these costs become more affordable. Yeah, so I think this meeting is a unique opportunity actually for Malawi ICT sector to come forward and share the challenges that they are facing, and also provide information about what is the current state. So for example, in today's workshop and also in tomorrow, because the workshop continues tomorrow, we have speakers from Malawi who are going to talk a bit about the work that they are doing at the IXP level, for example, Internet Exchange Point, and how this is helping to bring down the cost of of internet connectivity, for example. So we'll be hearing also from other countries about the measures that they are implementing on their side. So this meeting is providing a platform for knowledge sharing, especially around best practices that can be adopted by different countries afterwards. And the focus group work will conclude this year, and it will provide some technical reports on these best practices that could be then afterwards developed into international standards in study group 3 in the IT.
So as the whole world is embracing the internet as a strong tool for development, Malawi cannot be left behind.
Well, with that item, we've come to the end of today's edition of Business Time. This is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Chimwemwe Mangazi. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Bye for now.